So who did what I asked you to do 2 weeks ago? Raise your hand. All right, let's try this. Who remembers what I asked you to do 2 weeks ago? Raise your hand. Okay, Cindy, good. Okay, a couple did. So, what I said was, we are talking about voting with integrity and being people of integrity, and that one of the things that was required for us was to remember, whether we win the election or lose the election, that we need to work together when helping one another. And I said, you should write a letter to a candidate. Win or lose, write a letter that lets them know you are going to support. So, here's my letter. Dear, on official church stationery too. Dear President-elect Trump, I want to first of all congratulate you on your election to this nation's highest office, though I am not sure congratulations are always appropriate for one who has taken on the largest, most difficult and demanding job our planet has. The pressures and struggles you face will be terrible, and I pray for your peace. I am a Christian and understand that following the way of Jesus means to love God with all my strength and to love others as myself. You are one whom I have been commanded to love, and so with God's help, I shall. That may sound harsh, but love is a choice, an act of will, not an emotion. This means that I will pray and work for what is best for you. I believe that what is best for anyone is to live a life of grace and peace. What will make us happy and wise is not the domination of others, but the empowering of others. I pray that you will be able to reject the politics of hate and embrace the politics of peace. I believe that it is there you will find happiness for yourself and that America will move closer to its dream of one nation under God, indivisible. Right now, there are many people in this country who feel they have been demeaned and belittled by your words. There are many who are afraid of what you intend for them. I would encourage you to make amends, both in word and deed. The task ahead of you is difficult because our nation is quite divided. I do not know what means you will find to bridge that gap. I pray that you will be given the wisdom and strength to do so. You are now in a place to make the world better or worse. You can work to free the poor and the oppressed. The temptation to act on behalf of the powerful will be great. I pray for the Spirit of Christ to be on you. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine on you and be gracious to you. May God look on you with kindness and give you peace. Amen.
You're going to send that, David?
Yes. Think I should?
Yeah.
Put it in the mail tomorrow. So, having said that, let's move on. Because I don't want to talk about President-elect Trump, I want to talk about Captain Marvel. Who knows Captain Marvel? Okay, a few of us do. Monty, I've always felt that you kind of look like Captain Marvel. Anybody see that resemblance? It's hard to see, I know, on this out here. So, if you don't know who Captain Marvel is actually a little boy named Billy Batson, but when he says the word Shazam, he turns into Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, the word Shazam is significant. It collects the powers of a number of worthies throughout history. Shazam gives him, when he says it, he gains the speed of Mercury, the courage of Achilles, the power of Zeus, the stamina of Atlas, the strength of Hercules, and what's the top one? The S. The wisdom of Solomon. Okay. Now, for Solomon, wisdom meant the ability to do what is right for the people, the ability to make decisions that are just. And it was also the ability to see through the deceit of others. One day we're going to be able to see these more clearly. But the story of Solomon, immediately after what we read today, where Solomon prays for wisdom, immediately after that comes the first case he has to deal with, in which two women come to him with one baby, and both of them claim that the baby is theirs. And there's no DNA testing. So Solomon's job is to figure out which person the baby belongs to. How can he determine which one that is? So what happens is that Solomon asks for, yes, got a question? Okay. Solomon asks for, he orders the baby to be cut in half, and one half given to each of the two mothers, and then they'll both be happy. And of course, as soon as he says that, the actual mother of the baby says, no, 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 let her have the baby. And that's how Solomon figures it out. It wouldn't have been a very wise decision if Solomon didn't have the wisdom to perceive that the real mother would have let go and said, let the baby live even if I can't have him, and that the mother who was not the honest mother would have thought, if I can't have him, nobody can have him. So Solomon figured that out, and that takes a lot of wisdom, but that was a pretty big gamble to make there in that place. Solomon lived in a time of difficult international politics. He managed to find a way to make his own nation greater, even though he was surrounded by powers that were much greater than his own. You would think that he was probably a success because he built wonderful things. You've heard of Solomon's temple. The city of Jerusalem was dramatically changed under his leadership. But do you know how he got the work done? What did Solomon do to get the work done on the temple and the walls of Jerusalem and all of that? Oh, he delegated it all right. To whom did he delegate it? Slaves. Yes, it was a slave labor. There was a draft. They had a draft. You had to go to your draft board, and it didn't do any good to be a conscientious objector because you were put to work building the city whether you wanted to work on the city or not. And you were paid. How much do slaves get? Nothing. The prosperity of his time, and there was great prosperity, was not evenly distributed. When Solomon died, even though the nation gained great power, when he died and his son announced that he would continue the same policies of Solomon, the nation split in two. Half of the people said, we're not going to have anything more to do with this. We are out of here. So was Solomon wise? Was Solomon a success? Was he wise? Wisdom is to know what it is that God wants of us. Wisdom is not power. Wisdom is peace. We know we are wise if we know that God is leading us to peace. We read these beautiful words of Isaiah that were read for us today. A world in which these things are true. This was Isaiah's vision of what the world would be like. Isaiah wrote these many centuries after Solomon, but here's what he wrote. He saw a world in which the people would know God, that illness and sorrow would be rare and life would be long, that people would be secure in their own homes. They wouldn't necessarily have mansions, but they would have homes of their own, and nobody could take them from them. The work would have meaning. Children would be born not to die in war, but to live joyfully with loved ones. A peace and a justice so complete that everyone living in it would be brought to peace. Has that vision come to be? Only partially sometimes, and sometimes not much. Wisdom is to know that God is leading us to peace. Now, what's the key word in that sentence right there? Wisdom is knowing that God is leading us to peace. What's the most important word in that sentence?
Peace.
Peace? What did you say? Leading? Knowing? Wisdom? We're running out of words, folks. It's not wisdom, it's not peace, it's God. God is the subject of this sentence. And those who are wise know that God is leading us to peace. Peace is the desire of the Creator. Peace is the purpose of revelation. And have we ever gotten it wrong sometimes? Have we not? How often have we, the children of God, declared war on other children of God in the name of God? That might be the ultimate foolishness. Wisdom is to know that God calls us to peace. Not even all of the great spiritual people who wrote the Bible quite got this. Wisdom is to know peace, wholeness, health, completeness, contentment, peace. Wisdom is to know that harmony and balance are what God chooses for us. I like the word harmony. The word unity is getting used a lot today. People are calling for unity, and I am not particularly impressed by the idea of unity. What I like is harmony. What do you have to have harmony? To create harmony, what is required? Balance, yeah. So when a choir sings, if they're going to create harmony, it doesn't do any good if someone like me sings their part too loudly. Isn't that right, Lynn? Where's Lynn? Behind me. Because the voices we have to be listening to each other. We have to care what the other person is doing and listen. And by the way, voices. How many people does it take to create a harmony? You cannot do it by yourself. You got to have at least two people to create harmony. Harmony means different voices singing one song, listening to each other, and finding a way to make a musical blend from it, cherishing each other's part. Isaiah understood this, and he had a beautiful image of harmony. Solomon understood it partly, but he kept forgetting it because even though he was famous as a diplomatic leader who could go to other countries and create some cooperation between countries, he couldn't do it in his own home and in his own family and among his own people. If our new president is wise, he will know that we need to live in balance with each other, in balance with the environment. And if he is wise enough to lead us towards bringing ourselves into balance with the environment, are we wise enough to follow that lead? And if our new president is wise enough to know that people who are poor, oppressed, and marginalized and hated need to be drawn in, if he is wise enough to know that that has to happen, are we wise enough to follow when it does? We know this. Wisdom is Christ. We are Christians, and we claim that title of being Christ's with fear because we know that many people have abused that, and many times we have failed it. But we are followers of the way of Jesus, as it was known before the word Christian came into being. Wisdom is Christ, and Christ is love. It simply makes no sense to act out of any other motivation than love. You might get angry. Anybody here feeling angry right now? No, good. How many of you, okay, well, Ray does, okay. Is it because of what you did, Elena? Just, okay. But I'm pretty sure everybody in this room knows what it is to feel anger, and sometimes that's what you want, and sometimes you even want to get even with the people you're angry with. You might be filled with suspicion or resentment or hatred even, but those things will not lead you where you need to go. There is only one motivation that makes any sense, and that is love. The only motivation that makes any sense, the only reason for doing anything is out of love. And one more thing I want to say. Wisdom, to be wise, if you are wise like Solomon, wiser than Solomon, you know this. Wisdom is giving. When Jesus sat down to eat with his disciples at the meal, what did he do first? First thing Jesus did when he sat down to eat the Last Supper with the disciples, what did he do? Before giving thanks, he washed their feet. Whose job is it to wash the feet of the guests? The servants or the slaves? Jesus did it. He took that role on, even though everyone in the room said, that's the person that we honor. Jesus got up, took off his outer robe, wrapped a towel around his waist, and went around and washed the feet of each of his disciples, taking the role of the servant, because Jesus knew that wisdom is found when people give to others, when people share in their giving. That was his wisdom. Jesus said, I'm here to serve. I'm sending you out as servants too. Is it wise to give? Is it wise to give? Or is it wise to hoard? It's wise to give. We already know that. Is it wisdom to give of your goods, your time, your talent to others? Is it? Yes, it is. Is it wise to give to this church? Is it wise to give to this church? I will tell you what I think. I have no doubt about it. It's very wise to give to this church. And that puts me in a difficult spot because much of what you give ends up paying my salary. And I understand that. But I want to say this about this church right here. This is a wise place to give to. This church is a beautiful place of grace and power. I see it every time I'm with you. I see that there are people here who are just filled with the love of Christ, who are filled with grace, who are filled with kindness and goodness, and who give and give and give and give and give. And it is a wise thing to give to this church. Is it wise to seek to serve or to be served? It is wise to serve. The path of Jesus is the path of service, the path of giving. It is not the path of grabbing and holding power. It is the path of giving it. It is not right to sit at the head of the table. It is right to seat others at the table. So today, be wise. Our world is a confusing place. We know that there are people on top and people on the bottom, but figuring out how to bring justice requires a great deal of wisdom. And that should be our prayer today. What is our job? What is our task? If we are wise, how do we give to this world that is in such need? We'll figure it out together. Amen.
You've been listening to a sermon by Reverend Stephen Carnahan, pastor of High Street Congregational Church in Auburn, Maine. If you feel inspired by what you hear, we invite you to join us in person for worship services every Sunday morning, beginning at 10 o'clock. Of course, you can always listen to Steve's sermons on the web. New sermons are posted every Monday by midday. Please take a moment to explore this website for more information about our church, or visit our Facebook page at High Street Congregational Church, UCC. We hope that God's presence will be known to you every hour of every day. That God's blessings will rest upon you now and always. See you next week.